Hey guys, welcome to the review show. My name is Austin. The Fantastic Four, The First Steps, is out in theaters right now. Forced to balance their roles as heroes with strength of their family bond, the Fantastic Four must defend Earth from a space god called Galactus. There was a lot of risk with doing Fantastic Four, especially in the MCU at this moment of state of films not really being great, and also what the previous license with Fantastic Four has been done with. Like the previous Fantastic Four films have not been good, so it was definitely a risk to do this film. And everything from the trailers, from the cast members, were looking decently good for this film. And that's the one thing to really take away from this film. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards is a fantastic cast for that character. Vanessa Kirby does a fantastic job as Sue Storm. Joseph Quinn does a fantastic job for Johnny Storm as well. You have Ian Moss, I think that's how you say his name, who does a perfect job as Ben. Like the chemistry around the whole entire characters and the cast members work very well in this movie. I really like the aesthetics, the 60 vibes, and to this film, it looks amazing. Like the movie looks great, and the action in this film is a ton of fun. Like there is a lot more action here to take from than the previous films. Now there's definitely slow bits in this film, but they definitely, at least when it comes to Kevin Feige and the people that worked on this film, they definitely looked at the previous films. They're like, let's not do that. Let's do something better, and they'd have. Galactus in this film, he's finally not a fucking cloud. He's actually, he actually has some form and some form of body. He looks amazing. Galactus in this film is just insane and is cool. Definitely like the best part about the whole entire film. And next, they also have Silver Surfer in this film, which is played by Julia Garner, and who I like, and I can't wait to see what she does in Weapons. And I think she does a good job as the Silver Surfer. People complain about a female Silver Surfer. It's all woke. There's a female version in the comics, but even then, it doesn't really change the fact of the story of the Silver Surfer. It doesn't really. She's cool in the film. She has a couple badass moments. Overall, I really enjoyed the film, and the film is just a ton of fun. And a lot of the jokes in this film really do land. My biggest issue, though, for the film is that it can feel boring at times. Not initially, but when you really look back on the film, it does feel like it would be boring to watch for a second time because no one really has a character arc in this whole entire film. There isn't really much to grasp when it comes to getting attached to these characters, besides of what Galactus wants overall, that either to spare Earth or to give up your firstborn baby. And that's kind of like the only actual emotional grasp that you're really rooting for the Fantastic Four, besides trying to save the world. But them as individual characters, they're just kind of just there doing their thing. And I think that's the one thing that really holds this film back. It could have been this emotional family drama superhero film, but there just wasn't really much to take away from any of the characters besides what we're told. Like we're constantly told by Sue Storm that Reed Richards is one of his pet peeves is his work, which we do see his work, that being like a main focus for him, but it's also a bad side of him too. Like his mind can be like a good positive thing, and he's really smart, he can solve a lot of problems for the world, but it can also cause a lot of issues because he thinks about certain things that can also be bad. So he tries to think of how to get out of those situations, and which are not always to other people the best situations to do. The best out, it's not really the best outcome. Nothing is really done with that. Sue Storm is just kind of there. She's kind of like the glue that keeps the group together, but there isn't really that much conflict between the whole entire group as a whole for her, so she kind of just feels like being left out in a way. And you have Johnny Storm, who has been definitely dumbed down from his actual character, who basically sexualizes women in a way. Now, I'm not saying that he should have been fully sexualizing women, like completely hitting on them, but that's kind of is his character in a way. It involves his ego, which he definitely kind of has in this film. But again, they just don't really do anything with it. So he kind of just doesn't feel like he goes through any form of character arc, which I can understand if you don't want to have him as like a womanizer, which could be his character arc, where he, respects women towards the end of the film a bit more, and he has more self-control over his ego, and caring a little bit more about what he is doing right now in his life. But that's just not the case, which you have Ben, who's now this this giant like monster in a way, who in the previous films wasn't really satisfied with what his life is, and like kind of dealing with almost this mental trauma of becoming a monster in a way. It feels like they already went through their character arcs in another film. That's kind of one of my big issues with Superman, even though I knew going in that that we're gonna be dropped into like a middle of a universe already that's happening. It felt like we missed out on the film, and we kind of just got the sequel, and that's good enough like to be made, and that's kind of what it really did feel like. Overall, I really did like this film, and there's a lot of great things to take away from the film, but I really don't see rewatches coming from this film. It is definitely a lot better than the previous Fantastic Four films that we've got in the past. And the story is a little bit more interesting here, besides Galactus really wanting a baby. That's not really that compelling. I'm going to give Fantastic Four: The First Steps a C+. It's a fun time at the theaters, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of just all right at best, in my opinion. I don't know. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. This is definitely one of the way better Marvel films, don't get me wrong, but when you compare it to Thunderbolts, that had stuff going for that film, and I felt more emotional attachment to those characters than any of the ones here, really. It kind of just becomes one of those Marvel films, like, yeah, this is like watchable. You can enjoy this one, but you're mostly not really gonna care after watching it when you do. And that's kind of at least for me in a way. So yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you guys very much for watching. Like always, I'll see you guys in the next review. Bye guys.